Yes, good afternoon to one and all. So, today is the third session, third class, uh, according to your timetable. So, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Vinuta P. Kunderi, Department of Studies and Research in English, KSOU, Mysore. Today, I'll be teaching you two texts. One is a play, drama, and the second is a novel. What are these two texts? First is, as I told you, the first one is a play written by William Congreve. William Congreve has written The Way of the World, which is prescribed for you, and it is an excellent restoration comedy, or you can call it as comedy of manners. And secondly, you have a text by Oliver Goldsmith. It is also an excellent novel titled The Vicar of Wakefield. These two texts today I'll be dealing with you, or I'll be teaching you these two texts. So let me begin by introducing a play written by William Congreve, that is The Way of the World. It is a beautiful love story. Two lovers, they were struggling to get married, but there were many hurdles which they have to come across to get together, to be together for lifetime. So that is the beautiful story, and it is easy to understand. Let me be very brief so that you will it will be easy for you to understand and see or listen repeatedly, so that it will be helpful for your examinations. And in this play, the characters introduced by William Congreve is quite tough to understand, tough to remember the names. Don't get confused. I'll be repeatedly informing you about the characters, because character during your examinations, the analysis of the characters is being asked. Okay, so you need to know what are all the characters. So let me begin with introducing the writer, playwright, that is William Congreve. Who is William Congreve? William Congreve is an English dramatist who shaped the English comedy of manners through his brilliant comic dialogue, his satirical portrayal of the war of sexes, and the ironic scrutiny of the affection of his age. So, William Congreve is dealing with two complex ideologies. That is, one is the differentiation between the genders, not based on the physiology of the gender, but based on the social strata of the gender which they belong to. If there is a different set of role play, or their actions, their participation in the social life is different when the men or the lady is poor or rich. And the second important factor is the affection. Money stands first before the affection of any person. Love, even though love is important theme of restoration comedy, it's not prioritized. Okay, social strata is prioritized. Marriage for convenience is prioritized than that of any other aspects in life. So, what is the meaning of restoration comedy or comedy of manners? It describes a genre of realistic satirical comedy of the Restoration. So, as I told you before, these dramas written by William Congreve concentrate on two ideas or two aspects. One is the social strata, and the gender equation. Okay, gender equation. Every gender, for example, male and female, they have their own set of actions to play. Okay, so they are set a William Congreve is making fun of the affections which they are showing. You will get to know with the characters of Edward, Mirabel, and Millamant. So how they get to know and they participate in the social life for convenience. It's not out of love or it is not out of commitment. They are supposed to get together or supposed to get together with the other rest of the characters, whereas they deal with situations based on their necessity. And it questions the restoration play questions and comments upon the manners and social conventions of a greatly sophisticated artificial society. So William Congreve is commenting on the artificial or artificiality of the societal people. The people who are staying during that period are artificial in their emotions. They are not true to their emotions. Everything is done, everything is acted to for convenience, okay, for their own convenience, for their own benefits, for their own what to say decisions of life. They are not acting upon their emotions, they are acting only based on convenience. Congreve wrote comedy way of world, keeping in mind Mirabelle's climactic success, seems to satirize social etiquettes and society's focus on money. So, the society which William Congreve witnessed only concerns with money, the benefits, monetary benefits. Every relationship is developed on monetary benefits, not either or other any aspects. They are not developed on any other aspects. It seems to satirize social etiquettes and society's focus on money and reputation. So whatever they seems to do, they can only concentrate on reputation. Okay, reputation was their main concern, but also lands those who succeed in these times. What is the theme of restoration comedies? William Congreve comedies concern or comedy of restoration concern only among marriage and game of love. Love becomes a pawn like. Pawn is you when you play Kerem, you have come across a pawn where you shoot at every other pawns. Just like that, love becomes a medium to conquer the mercantile benefits, okay, the economic benefits. Love becomes only a trap to conquer the other emotions. So, the reasons why they call restoration drama as a restoration drama, because when the English monarchy under the King Charles II was re-established in 1616, theatres were opened. Before Charles II, theatres were not actively participating in the societal aspects. Only after Charles II, he brought in, reopened the theatres where public used to gather, and he performed, he encouraged to perform popular plays, and there was also a demand for new dramatists and their works. Okay, in this spirit a specific kind of drama was created, that is a restoration drama. So William Congreve wrote the way of the world after a decade where restoration period gets over. Only after a decade, 10 years, restoration drama is being written. So many of the aspects William Congreve concentrates on restoration themes or concerns, but it is not based on, sorry, he did not write during that period. So we'll discuss the text. Okay, now we'll deal with the play. The play was written between 1699 and 1700. So, for 2 long years, he took time to write the drama, but it was published in March 1700. It was published in March 1700, and the setting of the play is in London. It is a posh, highly educated society, but it is not so. You will get to know when you read the storyline, when you understand the storyline, You will get to know how society was pretentious. The society of London, which is supposed to be a benchmark for aristocratic society, is not so when we look at William Congreve's society, London society. So, as I told you, the stylistic of the way of the world is restoration comedy. So, all the elements which is described by William Congreve is it starts with the comedy. You feel like you, after listening to the story, you will have a short sweet smile on your face. Why people act stupid at times, we don't know. So here, you will get to know all these factors. And theme of the play is love, money, deceitfulness, and conspiracy. So deceitfulness and conspiracy is very much acted upon all the characters here in the play, The Way of the World. You will get to know how they were pretentious, how they are deceitful, how they deliberately do cheating for their own benefits. They are not concerned with any other emotions, or they don't give importance to other people's emotion as well. So what they do, they do things for their own benefits. They don't look at the plight of the other person. They are happy. And each of the characters, whether it is good character or whether it is crooked character, they act similar. They act only for their own benefits. So the writer has targeted the age and is created the story which holds mirror to the restoration society. Okay, so William Congreve has tried his best to deliver the society as he sees. He is not hiding anything from the readers, 21st century readers, or any century readers for that matter. He's not trying to hide, give a pretentious, mm, what to say, image of restoration age, but he has deliberately mirrors the society as exact. And it is a humorous manner, and he has satirizes, he has made fun of, he has tried to mock at the aristocratic society or aristocratic rich London society. His speech here is straightforward, and the tone is quite sensuous or sexual. So, what is the storyline of The Way of the World? So, as I told you, this is somewhat a love story between two people. One is Millamant and Edward Mirabel. Please remember the names, otherwise you will tend to get confused, because the word Mirabel, the name of the character Mirabel, seems to be female gender, but it is not so. It is Edward Mirabel. He is a man, and Millamant, which sounds to be a male person, but it is a female character in the play. So remember these character names, that is Millamant and Edward Mirabel. The entire story surrounds these two characters. Who is Edward Mirabel and who is Millamant? You need to get to know. When we talk about uh, Edward Mirabel is a womanizer. He is not so much good character. He is a womanizer. He is interested in women. Okay, whereas, but he fortunately fall in love with Millamant, who is supposed to be niece to Lady Wishford and also cousin to Mrs. Arabella, or you can call it as Mrs. Finol. Okay, so Millamant is niece to Lady Wishford, and she is also cousin to Mrs. Arabella Finol. Okay, her surname is Finol because she is the wife of Mr. Finol. Okay, so they are in love, but they can't get married. They're both of them, they are interested in each other, but they are not, they are unable to get married because Millamant is under the supervision of her aunt, Lady Wishfort. Lady Wishfort has 6,000 pounds stake on the wealth of Millamant. If Millamant failed to get married to the men whom her aunt disagrees, she will not get even a pie from that 6,000 pounds. Okay, Millamant is actually owner of 12,000 pound property. Now 6,000 property is already with Millamant, but the rest other half 6,000 property is under the control of Lady Wishford. She is supposed to give it. She is supposed to inherit that 6,000 pound inheritance property. She has to agree to whom her aunt shows to decides to get married. So this is the circumstance. But Edward, who is in deeply love with Millamant, has decided that somehow or the other he has to get married to Milaman, and he wants to somehow win the confidence of Lady Wishford. Hence, what he does, he goes to her aunt, he flatters, he praises her aunt, he wins the confidence, love, respect of Lady Wishford. But unfortunately, Lady Wishford fall in love with Edward Mirabel. So that is where problem lies. She falls in love, and she's helpless, and she's a widower. Lady Wishford is a widower. Her husband is no more, and she wants a companion. She thinks that Edward Mirabel is in interest with herself. Instead of, she never uh, thought that he is interested in her niece. So there the problem lies over there. But Edward decides that somehow or the other, by hook or crook, he wanted to marry Millamant, and he plots circumstances. He creates the characters, he creates the circumstances where somehow or the other he managed to marry Millamant. Okay, he decides that he'll make sure that Lady Wishfort agrees for the marriage of Edward Mirabel and Millamant. So, at the backdrop of the story, you must understand what are problems faced by Millamant and Edward Mirabel to get married. So here I introduce to the character Mrs. Arabella Finol. Arabella Finol is the daughter of Lady Wishfort. Lady Wishfort is of 55 years of age, and she's a widower. Mrs. Arabella, just like a mother, she is also a widow, and her husband, her deceased husband named Languish, had left behind a large amount of property, and he is no more. Now, Mrs. Arabella is inherited lot amount of money and property from her deceased husband, and she is alone. Henceforth, she gets married to Mr. Finol. Who is this Mr. Finol? Mr. Finol is also a crooked person. He is also a womanizer, interested in women, but he has a lot of he has acquired a lot of respect in the society. He has his own identity, he has his own money, he has his own stature in the society. Henceforth, Edward see to it that Mrs. Arabella and Mr. Finol gets married. And how Mrs. Arabella Finol or Mr. Edward Mirabel are connected? Because they are connected. How they are connected? That is the main point. They are connected in love. Okay, before Arabella gets married to Finol, Edward and Arabella were in relationship. They had an affair. Mrs. Edward Mirabel decides that if they are their relationship, their affair is out to the society, it will be a dishonor to the family and disgrace to the lady. Henceforth, to avoid the problem or to avoid the pregnancy. It sounds a bit silly. You can think that it is a silly thing, but it is the fact in the story that Phenol, sorry, Edward Mirabel thinks just to avoid the problems, he makes Mrs. Arabella to get married to Phenol. So somewhere one problem he has escaped, and on the other side, even Mr. Phenol is not a nice person. As I told you before, he is a womanizer, and he was having a physical relationship with Mrs. Marwood. Okay, her name is Mrs. Marwood. She was also having an affair with Mr. Phenol. And this lady is one of the friend of Lady Wishford. She was the only friend of Lady Wishford, and they get to know each other. This is the backdrop of the play. This is the backdrop of the play. And how does Edward Mirabel solves his problem? So all the play consists of 5 acts. In all the 5 acts, act number 3, act number 4, and act number 5, Edward, he sketches a plan so that he can reach Millamant and ask her hand for marriage to Lady Wishful. So, what was the plan of Edward Mirabel? He introduced a character, or he introduced a servant named by Wait, sorry, Waitwell. Okay, the name of the servant of Mr. Edward is Waitwell, and he disguises him to named as Sir Roland. He is a rich person. He seems to be a rich person. So in reality, he is not there. But Edward, he agrees. He confirms, or he changes his only servant Waitwell, and he disguises him as Sir Roland to get married to Lady Wishford. And he also plans, the second plan was he wanted Waitwell to get married to Lady Wishford's servant, her name is Foible. She is the servant of Lady Wishford. So he sees to it that they both, Waitwell and Foible, who are the servants of respective people, that is Edward Mirabel and Lady Wishford, took marry. Why he wanted Waiteville to get married to Foible? Because he wanted her to get into the plan of Edward Mirabel, and they make sure that she should not be a barrier to make Lady Wishford to agree to the marriage of Millamant and Edward. So what he does, he introduces Sir Roland to Lady Wishford to create a emotional relationship between them. He wanted Mr. Roland to get married to Lady Wishford. And this episode you can see in Act 2, where Foible forces Lady Wishford to get married to Sir Roland. Okay? And after this episode, after Lady Wishford, she took time to get married to Sir Roland. But all this episode was known to Mrs. Marwood. Marwood acts cunningly here in the story. She gets involved with Mr. Phenol, and he says that before they get married, means before Phenol get married to Mrs. Arabella, she was in love. She was in relationship with Edward Mirabel, and they were having sexual relationship. She said that she will be disclosing, and Mr. Phenol took advantage of the situation, and he went in front of Lady Wishford asking for the property of Millamant, 6,000 pounds property, and he also asked the property of Lady Wishford, And he also asked the property of Mrs. Arabella, who is supposed to be the wife of Mr. Finn. So he wanted all three persons' property. Why he is threatening Lady Fishford? Because he wanted to acquire the property from them and leave and run away from the place and lead a happy life with Mrs. Marwood. That was his exact plan. And he threatened to disgrace the daughter of Lady Wishford, that is Mrs. Arabella. So that is the scene which happened. You can see this scene in Act Fifth. So here comes the savior, that is Edward Mirabel, in favor of Lady Wishford. She doesn't know what to do because Phenol is threatening Lady Wishford to disgrace her daughter, and if there is a disgrace in the family, how can they lead a happy life in the society of London, which is posh, which is lavish, which is rich in culture, supposed to be rich in culture, but it is not so. You have already understood such thing. So he threatens, and Edward finds a solution. He says that he discloses the truth that Mr. Finol is in a relationship, he is in affair with Mrs. Marwood. So he discloses to each and everyone because he disclosed that Mrs. Arabella is in love with Edward Mirabel before her marriage, and it is a cheating. So that was the first plan which he executed, and but still Mr. Finol does not agree his mistake. He does not surrender to the situation which is created in and around him. Secondly, Mr. Sorry, Edward discloses that Mrs. Arabella has written a document. She has given a document which says that the entire property of Mrs. Arabella is supposed to belong to Edward Mirabel. So before her marriage to Mr. Fenol, she has done a good thing, that is that she has written the property in the name of Edward Mirabel. So either way, he cannot find solution. He couldn't win the his problem created by him, and he left the place. And he can't even claim Millament's property because Millament agrees to marry Sir Whitfull. She agrees to marry the person whom her aunt had decided, and just to save the property, her own property, she decides that she'll get married to that person, Sir Whitfull. And uh, and and Lady Wishford has now escaped from the problem, and now she has saved herself from the evil eye of Mr. Finner. He left the place after he got to know that two things. That is, one is his relationship with Mrs. Marwood, and Mrs. Arabella has given entire property to Edward. Mirabel. So they have escaped, and Phenol at last admits his mistake, and he left the place. Now, as promised earlier, Lady Wishford, she gives hand of Milament to Edward Mirabel. That's how the two people get get a successful love story. It was a happy ending play, but out of which you need to understand two things. One is you have come across the etiquettes, pretentious etiquettes of London. Okay, and secondly, relationships are built out of convenience, sorry, for convenience. Okay, relationship, money becomes important, love for money is important, and love is done for convenience. Okay, love is happened for convenience. It's not a true love. It is very pretentious. William Congreve has successfully brought in two aspects, that is, marriage happens for convenience and love is a game for London people or restoration people. William Congreve has brought it. Whereas at the end, the true love wins despite having an affair with people having an affair. Mr. Edward having an affair with Mrs. Mirabel, Miss Arabelle, and Mr. Finol having an affair with Mrs. Marwood. They have failed in it. They have failed. So the physical relationship has no importance, and at the end love success, pretentious love fails and true love has attained success. So William Congreve, famous, the way of the world is ends in such a way. Okay, I think you have understood. Don't get confused with the names of the characters because it's quite confusing for any of you. But don't get confused with the character names of The Way of the World written by William Congreve. And secondly, we'll discuss the second text for the day is The Vicar of Wakefield. So, Vicar, who is this Vicar and what is his struggle? It is also a struggle for life. Okay, Vicar is here in the play written by Oliver Goldsmith. He is, what to say, is narrating a story about a person, a padri, you can call him a religious person, you can call him a clergy or a bishop in a church. Vicar means the same. Okay, so this person has a long journey. A good person, a religious person faces many problems in his lifetime. Okay, for a short period of time, he sees many ups and downs in his life. The Vicar of Wakefield is written by Oliver Goldsmith. It is written between 1761 to 1762 but published in 1766. Victorians like this novel very much and it is much acclaimed, much read. And the subtitle of the novel is A Tale Supposed to be Written by Himself. The subtitle of The Vicar of Wakefield is a title supposed to be written by himself. Oliver Goldsmith is well known for another text or another play, that is She Stoops to Conquer, which is supposed to be a comedy play. Okay, Oliver Goldsmith is uh, is a successful writer of his time, Victorian time. Who is this vicar? Okay, and the theme of the novel is class, gender, and strength of family. So, Picard has a close knitted family. He has a large family, but it's not like the family which you see in The Way of the World. Here, the family has very much importance. Okay, family members, family emotions is being given much importance, and Vicar sees to it that each and every person is settled neatly. He is not, you cannot see much of behavioral differences in the characters which we come across. The novel is a satire in its treatment of social class and of people's desire to move upward in their social class. So here you come across a society which where you see they are struggling to move upwards in the society. Okay, by many means. It might be love, it might be marriage, it might be taking money from other person, cheating the person, whatnot. Okay, you can see every person is struggling to move upwards in the society. So, who is the protagonist of the novel? The protagonist of the novel is Vicar, whose name is Charles Prismo, Primrose, whose name is the narrator and the protagonist of the novel is Dr. Charles Primrose. The novel you can see he is being addressed as Dr. Primrose. He is a vicar in the novel, and the story he is narrating his own story, and all the rest of the characters moves around him. Okay, he is almost there in all the situations in the story. And he has a humble wife whose name is Deborah. Deborah Primrose is the name of his wife. And both wife and husband are leading a very happy life and rich life. Vicar is not a poor person here. Okay, he is a rich person, and they had six children, four sons and only two daughters. Okay, Vicar of Wakefield, Dr. Charles Primrose has four sons and two daughters. The name of the four sons and two daughters are as follows: George Primrose, Moses Primrose, Deck Primrose, Dick Primrose, Bill Primrose. Okay, the four name of the four sons is George, Moses, Dick, and Bill. And two beautiful daughters' name is Olivia and Sophia. So these are two daughters. So you can see majorly Vika speaks more of George, Olivia, and Sophia rather than Moses, Dick, and Bill. You can't see them much in the story. More of the situations deal with only three persons: George, Olivia, and Sophia. So, what sort of business was Vicar in? Vicar, he was a rich person. He used to donate some amount of money to the people, and the other portion of his money which he earned, he used to invest on his friends or is in some of his business. Okay, so he was leading a financial stable life, but unfortunately the problem erupts where he lost all the money where he invested on to a merchant, and he cheated to Vicar. Henceforth, he has to lead a unstable life. He lost all the money for his friend, he took away all the money, and he left the henceforth Vicar now for taking his entire family had to move to the countryside, because now they don't have money, they cannot lead a posh life. Henceforth he has to leave to the countryside. And his eldest son, George, was supposed to marry Arabella. Okay, his lover named Arabella, and the marriage was broken because they lost the money, they lost the wealth of the family. Henceforth, the father of Arabella decides that the marriage is not supposed to happen, and they had to leave to countryside. And George, after the marriage was cancelled and after they lost money, he decides to move to another country, because George was a student from Oxford, so he has a bright opportunities and he has to look after the family, entire family. Henceforth, he leaves the family and he moves to the other country where he could find job, where he could earn money. So he left the family. So now the family consists of two daughters, three sons, along with the parents. They started moving from one place to another. For the settlement, they used to stay in inns. It's a small cottage like, and They used to spend days and move from one place to another based on their necessities and requirements. As they pass in an inn, he supposed to meet a handsome man named Mr. Burchill. Okay, Mr. Burchill has an important role. Mr. Burchill, they meet, they find him a good person, and Vicar becomes a friend with Mr. Burchill very early. And he noticed that Mr. Burchell has a liking for Sophia, her second daughter, Sophia. And Sophia is also equally interested in Mr. Burchell because Mr. Burchell once saved her from drowning into the water. Hence, they both of them had a mutual affection. But Vicar was not happy with it because he is a good person, but he is a poor person. So, as I told you, uh, Orwell's Oliver Goldsmith's novel deals with the stratas, the positions, social positions matters the most to them. So Sophia is attracted towards Mr. Burchell. As they move, as I told you, as they move, they are moving to another inn where their landlord is not supposed to be a good person. Wherever they are moving in and around of that countryside. They are listening. They are only hearing a person's name, that is Mr. Square Thornhill. He is a bad person. He is a notorious person. He is a womanizer, as that of uh, Edward Mirabel in Way of the World. So he is supposed to be the landlord, but Vicar is a positive religious person, and for he did not care about the rumors which is spreading about Squire, and he tries to stay in a place which is owned by Squire Thornhill. So Squire Thornhill had an uncle named Sir William. Okay, Sir William was his uncle, and you will be surprised to know that Mr. Burchell is the disguised person of disguised name or disguised person of Sir William. At the end of the novel, you will get to know that Sir William was disguised as Mr. Burchell. You will get to know. So these uncle and nephew are staying together in a house. So Vicar noticed that Squire Thornhill is interested in Olivia. He could sense that they both are attracted towards each other, but um, Squire is not. He doesn't show much of interest in front of Vicar, and he doesn't even propose Olivia because Vicar was very much interested in a Squire to make him son-in-law because he's a rich person, so that they can settle in a nicer way. So he wanted that relationship to move further, but unfortunately, it did not happen. And Squire, he was in his own world. He did not show much interest in Olivia, and unfortunately, Vicar had one possibility that Olivia is supposed to get married to a countryman, simple countryman who can manage the family. But on the day of marriage, Olivia is eloped with a person. Vicar was very shocked that his one only loved daughter, elder daughter, who is supposed to get married, had eloped with a person. We don't know who is the person. He thinks at early. He thinks at primarily. He thinks that she has eloped with Squire Thornell, who is supposed to be the rich and landlord. But it was not so happened because Squire Thornell was sitting in the home. Vicar could see it, and he feels very bad. He also suspected that Mr. Burchill would be the person whom Olivia has eloped, but it was also not so. And he started searching for his daughter Olivia. He doesn't know what to do. He is moving from one place to another. He is very tense because he want to know what has happened with Olivia and whom to whom she has trusted, and she has gone with. So due to this hustles, his health is deteriorating. Vicar is suffering from his health, and he decides to stay in an inn for some time. So they come across an intelligent man, and he invites Vicar and the family for the dinner. It is none other than uncle of Arabella, Mr. Arnold. Uncle of Arabella. Who is Arabella? Arabella is the lover of George. Who is George? George is the son of Vicar. So, uncle took the entire family to the house of Arabella, and for some time they started living there. They had a very beautiful and lavish house, and they started staying there. Arabella was very happy by seeing George and his family, and he said, but Vika realized that Arabella is still in love with his son George, and she is still waiting for George. But there was a rumor, and it is true that she is getting married to Squire Thornhill. Okay, he was very surprised that Arabella is getting married to Squire Thornhill, who is a landlord. He presumed that he is going to get married to Olivia, but it did not happen. And Vicar continues to stay with Mr. Arnold for some more days. So it so happened once that Vicar went to see a acting show. Okay, he went to see a acting show. There, unfortunately, he saw his son George, who is doing his portion. He is acting. He is acting in a. He has joined the acting school. Okay, he is working there. He doesn't know what to do for living. Henceforth, he is staying there. And George is very happy to meet Arabella and her father and his father Vicar as well. And Mr. Arnold and even Squire becomes very surprised, and he becomes very tensed because he saw uh, Vicar and George in the house of Mr. Arnold, that is uncle of Arabella, because becomes uneasy because his fiancée, that is Arabella, is supposed to marry him, but unfortunately it is not happening. So he gave an offer to George, saying that he offers a job in West Indies where George is supposed to go, and George is not denying the job. Instead, he readily agrees, and he moves away to West Indies. And Vika realized that it has been many days staying in Mr. Arnold house, and they have to return back. So maybe Vika decides that he'll be anyway. His son is not marrying to Arabella, and henceforth they don't have proper place, and they are in search of Olivia, is whom where she doesn't know whereabouts of Olivia, and he is supposed to move from there. He can't stay for longer time. So as after they left Mr. Arnold house, they moved to a inn where he could see his daughter Olivia. Olivia narrated the entire story to her father Vicar, and how she landed up in an inn. Olivia to elope from the house, the reason was that Squire had seduced her. So, the reason for Olivia to elope on the day of a marriage is Squire Thornhill. He had managed to win the confidence of Olivia and seduced her, and promised to get married to her, and he has used her. He has used her, uh, and they have moved away. Okay, but to the luckiest part, Olivia is married to Squire in a loyal way, in a legal way. That saved her. You will know why it is so. and she is left on the streets to be a prostitute. Okay, he married Olivia and lived. He is left. She is left to be a prostitute. But Olivia, just to save herself, she has left the place, and she is now staying in an inn, and that's how she has landed up in an inn. So Olivia, without hiding anything, she has narrated the entire story, her part of story to her father, Victor. And after listening to Olivia, he feels very bad about their situation. But this is one part, and the second part is that still Vicar is not escaping from the problems. Now, when they reach the house, their houses catch by fire. Okay, everything is burning. He could only manage to save his family and not the things inside the house. Okay, his house is completely burned. Only their family is being saved, and he lost all the items there. And who has done this? It is the squire who has done this blunder. Okay, because once Vicar, when he meets Squire, he was so angry because he know what he has done with Olivia. Out of anger, he has busted out, and he has scolded Squire in all possible manner on his capacity. So, out of that frustration, Squire has what to say, he has make sure that their house is burnt. So as Vicar shouts at Squire, he lands up in a jail. Okay, Vicar now he lands up in a jail, but in jail also Vicar earns the respect amongst the fellow people who are staying in the prison. Okay, he meets in jail. He meets Vicar meets a person named Jenkinson. Okay, Jenkinson is also important person because he shifts the story from sorrow to happiness. You will get to know. So he meets Jenkinson, and they become so good friends. They become so good friends, and this was same person who had cheated Vicar at the beginning of the novel. So when the novel begins, you see that Vicar is cheated by his one of his friend. Amongst the friends, one person was Jenkinson. Jenkinson was not only the person who cheated Vicar, who took away the property, money, and everything, but he was one of the person amongst his friends. So, but Vicar did not had any hard feelings towards Jenkinson. He simply forgets everything, and he is going according to the what to say, as life takes him, he is moving around. So he also becomes good friend with Jenkinson, and staying in prison, his behavior also influenced the other people, and Vicar becomes a changed person himself, and his good behavior impresses everyone. So Vicar, out of respect, he shared everything with Jenkinson, and Jenkinson promised that if there is any difficult situation, he'll be helping the family of Vicar in all possible manner. So Vicar, after some time spending time in the jail, he realized that he wanted to make peace with Squire. So he did not want to continue any what to say, bad emotions, bad relationship. He did not want to share any bad relationship with Squire. But unfortunately, Squire also he was not interested to make pact with Vicar. Okay, he want to show angry, show disrespect to the person. Okay, Vicar, the third problem faced by Vicar is that his second daughter, that is Sophia, is being kidnapped. Okay, Sophia is being kidnapped, and when he was in jail, he got to know that his eldest daughter, that Olivia, is dead. Olivia is dead. She is no more. So now Vicar is staying in jail, he is helpless. He is completely helpless. He doesn't know what to do. Okay, his second daughter is being, he got to know that second daughter is being kidnapped, and she is being kidnapped by Jenkins' son on the words of Squaler. Okay, Squaler is Squaler instructs Jenkinson to kidnap Sophia because Squaler is completely revengeful. He wants to take revenge on Vicar as much as possible. We want to give pain to Vicar. So George has, and even his son George, okay, who also lands up in jail as that of his father. George, out of anger, he tried to kill Square. He threatened Square. Uh, he threatened him to kill Square, to kill, and Square also thrashed George. So out of this problem, George lands up in jail. Okay, so the vicar is in jail, and the George is also staying in the jail, and Olivia is said to be dead, but it is not so, and Sophia is being kidnapped. So all this problem is happening at one stretch. Mr. Burchell, whom Vicar thinks bad, has saved the life of Vicar's daughter Sophia. Vicar felt bad about himself that the person whom he think as bad turns to be a lifesaver of Sophia. So he agreed Mr. Burchell will be marrying Sophia after many hurdles. Mr. Burchell is the uncle of Squire Thornhill. As I told you before, but Mr. Burchell is the uncle of Squire Thornhill. Okay, and Sophia revealed that it was Jenkinson who kidnapped her under the influence of Squire Thornhill. There was no evidence. Vicar said that all this happened because of Squire, but he did not have proper evidence. Evidence was provided by Jenkinson, who is the partner in jail. Jenkinson agreed. He stands as a witness that he is the person who provoked him to kidnap Sophia. Squire had the similar intentions of making the same things as he did with Olivia. So he kidnapped Sophia because he wanted to use her as that of her sister Olivia. Even Arabella visited along with her father and broke her engagement with Squire. Even her father had realized that he is not the right person for Arabella. Arabella is uh, broke engagement with Squire because she understood that he is not the right person for herself, and she broke the engagement with Squire. George became the rightful person for Arabella now. Now, because the middleman, that is Squire, is out of their relationship, and now George and Arabella have come together. So, but still, Squire did not learn his lessons. So, what he did, he had taken signature of Arabella to the documents concerning the dowry which they are supposed to give during their marriage. Okay, he has taken signatures. He started making use of the documents, but unfortunately, unfortunate for the Squire, he says that Olivia, all of a sudden, she comes in front of everyone and she says that she is the loyal, wedded, legal wedded wife of Squire Thornhill. So that point saved Arabella from giving the dowry amount to Squire Thornhill, who is trying to cheat Arabella and her family. Okay, so she comes in front of everyone and she says that she is the loyal legal wife of Squire, and that's how Arabella escaped from the hands of clutches of leaves the place. Squire leaves the place from Arabella, he is not getting any dowry. So unfortunately, they are not getting any dowry. Now Squire realized his mistakes and asked for apology from his uncle and William. So at last, Squire has hands down. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do, and now at last he has understood. He has realized his mistake, and he asked for apology from his uncle, Sir William. At the end of the story, Sir William proposed Sophia and she agrees. George also agrees for Arabella to get married. So, two couples. There are three couples actually. Squire, he get married. They are already married to Olivia, and Sir William, who is supposed to be Mr. Burchell, is marrying Sophia, and George is marrying her loved lady, that is Arabella. They are getting married, and now, luckily, even Vicar gets all the amount which he had lost during the opening of the novel, and now they are all rich family, happy family. Okay, the person who had cheated the money, Vicar, was also arrested, and all his money was returned to him. And again, the family became rich. At the end, Vicar thanked God very much for the success, for all his journey. Okay, the entire journey, he feels happy for the God. He thanked God, and and if the entire family is happy. So the two stories which I narrated today, that is a play, The Way of the World, and another novel, The Vicar of the Wakefield, gives you a happy ending, and the story ends happily. Okay, so this is the nutshell of both the stories, and thank you so much for listening. If you have any queries, please try to contact me. Okay, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, because there are many questions popping up due to time constraint. It is highly impossible now to answer, but definitely I'll welcome any questions. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow.